Hello friends, in this section of head and neck, I am going to explain parotid gland. Parotid gland is one of the major salivary gland. It is important because it is producing large amount of saliva. About 90%, 80 to 90% of the saliva secretion is formed by the secretion of parotid gland. The portion of the parotid gland which is forming the secretion of the saliva is mainly serous. So it is forming the serous part of the saliva and it is located in the parotid bed. Parotid gland is important for the first year MBBS student because it is often asked as a long question. There is a theory question is always based on the parotid gland. So firstly we will describe and we will see where is the parotid gland located. Parotid gland is located in the parotid bed. So what are the parotid bed? How is the parotid bed formed? Parotid bed is formed anteriorly by the ramus of the mandible, medially by the styloid process and posteriorly by the mastoid process of the temporal bone, and superiorly there is external acoustic meatus, so TM joint and also the TM joint. So once more the boundaries of the parotid bed. Parotid bed is anteriorly formed by the ramus of the mandible, medially lies the styloid process, posteriorly the mastoid process of the temporal bone, and superiorly the external acoustic meatus. So this is the area where the parotid gland is located, lying in the parotid bed. This parotid gland is covered by investing layer of deep cervical fascia. When the investing layer of deep cervical fascia approaches the parotid gland, it splits into two fascia. One is the superficial fascia and other is the deep fascia. The superficial fascia will cover the parotid gland and form thick adherent paritomesenteric fascia. So on the superficial aspect of the investing layer of deep cervical fascia is forming a thick adherent paritomesenteric fascia, and on the deeper aspect it gets attached to the styloid process and tympanic plate, forming stylomandibular ligament, and this stylomandibular ligament is separating parotid gland from that of submandibular gland. So this is the modification of the fascia when the investing layer of deep cervical fascia, which is forming the capsule of the parotid gland. So these are forming false capsule of the parotid gland, and it is more thicker, as you can see on the superficial aspect, forming paritomesenteric fascia. After covering the capsule of the parotid gland, let's see the relations of the parotid gland. Before starting the relation, what are the features of parotid gland? Parotid gland is inverted pyramidal shape. It has got a superficial surface which is also called as the lateral surface. It has got anteromedial and posteromedial surface. These two surfaces is separated by a border which is called as the medial border. It has got anterior border, posterior border, medial border, means three borders, three surfaces, that is the anteromedial and posteromedial surface, and also one of the superficial surface which is called as the lateral surface. So this is the borders and surface. After completing the borders and surfaces, we also have got base and apex in parotid gland. The superior aspect of the parotid gland is called as the base and the inferior aspect is called as the apex. Now coming to the relations of the parotid gland. So coming to the relation, first I would like to describe the relations which is lying superiorly, that is the base. So on the superior aspect of parotid gland we have got following relations. We have got superficial temporal vessels emerging out there. There is superficial temporal artery, there is superficial temporal vein. Along with it, it has got auriculotemporal nerve. So these structures forms the relation on the superior aspect or that of the base of parotid gland. Temporal branch of facial nerve is also included as a relation in the base of the parotid gland. Now coming to the relation on the anterior border of parotid gland. When you will see the anterior border of parotid gland, here lies the anterior border of parotid gland. This anterior border of parotid gland, from here emerges the branches, the terminal branches of the facial nerve. The terminal branches of the facial nerves will emerge out in the form of just like the goose feet. So this is the branches which is emerging from the parotid gland anterior border. Starting from above to downward, the terminal branches of facial nerve are following temporal branch, the zygomatic branch, the upper and the lower buccal branch, the marginal mandibular, and the lower down is the cervical branch of facial nerve. In between the upper and the lower buccal emerges the parotid duct. Along with it, there is one more artery emerging from the anterior border of parotid gland, that is transverse facial artery. Transverse facial artery is a branch of superficial temporal artery. So we have seen the structures related on the superior aspect, anterior border. Now coming to the structures emerging out from the apex of parotid gland. From the apex of parotid gland emerges out is the two division of retromandibular vein. Inside the parotid gland, there is formation of retromandibular vein and its two division, one is anterior and other is the posterior division, is emerging out from the apex of parotid gland, which is directed in downward direction. Then coming to the structures related to the posterior border. From the posterior border of the parotid gland emerges following structures, that is auriculotemporal nerves and vessels. So we have got emergence of auriculotemporal nerve, auriculotemporal artery and auriculotemporal vein. So we have discussed all the structures emerging from the periphery of the parotid gland. Now coming to the structures related on the surfaces of the parotid gland. We have got two surfaces. One is anteromedial surface, other is posteromedial surface. These two surfaces is having a border in between, that is the medial border. The medial border of parotid gland is related with the lateral wall of the pharynx. Now coming to the anteromedial surface and that of posteromedial surface. The posteromedial surface of parotid gland is related with the mastoid process. The mastoid process has got following structures related, that is sternocleidomastoid muscle and the posterior belly of digastric muscle. Along with it, it is also related posteromedially with the styloid process. This styloid process of the temporal bone is surrounded by giving attachment to three muscles: styloglossus muscle, stylohyoid muscle and stylopharyngeus muscle. So altogether the relation on the posteromedial aspect, we have got five muscles. Once more, the muscles are mastoid process, two muscles, posterior belly of digastric and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Styloid process, three muscles, that is stylohyoid muscle, styloglossus muscle and that of stylopharyngeus muscle. It is also related with nerves, that is ninth nerve, and it is related with the ninth nerve. It is related with internal jugular vein. So these are the other structures which are related on the posteromedial aspect of the parotid gland. Anteromedial surface. Anteromedially it is related with the ramus of the mandible, and on the ramus of the mandible we have got two muscles related, that is masseter and medial pterygoid muscle. So masseter and medial pterygoid muscle is related anteromedial aspect of parotid gland. So we have seen all these relations. We will draw a neat diagram. We will show the structures related with the parotid gland. We will make a diagram showing the capsule of parotid gland, and also we will see the relations, all the structures which is emerging from the borders of parotid gland. Before that, I also want to just summarize the extent of parotid gland. Parotid gland is extending vertical extent. If you talk about the vertical extent, it is extending from external acoustic meatus superiorly, and lower down it goes into the upper aspect of carotid triangle. Vertical extent, external acoustic meatus to the upper part of carotid triangle. Horizontal extent, horizontally it is extending onto the masseter muscle. Here is the masseter muscle, and anterior aspect is the masseter muscle and posterior aspect is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So this is the horizontal extent of parotid gland. With this we have seen the relations of the parotid gland, the capsules covering the parotid gland and relations and the extent of parotid gland. Thereafter I would like to describe the structures which is lying inside parotid gland. So when we will see inside structures of the parotid gland, there is three planes. The most superficial plane is containing facial nerve. The middle plane or intermediate plane is containing the vein, and the deeper aspect it contains the artery. We will draw three diagrams to better understand these three planes. On the most superficial aspect or the superficial plane, we have got the facial nerve which is emerging out from the stylomastoid foramen, and after emerging from the stylomastoid foramen, it goes inside the substance of parotid gland, and its terminal branches emerges out from the anterior border of parotid gland. The second plane or the intermediate plane is formed by the formation of retromandibular vein. Retromandibular vein is formed by joining of superficial temporal vein joining with the maxillary vein forms retromandibular vein. This retromandibular vein will just diverge into two veins. One is anterior division, another is posterior division. Anterior division will join with the facial vein forming common facial vein, and the posterior division will join with posterior auricular vein to form external jugular vein. The deepest plane is occupied by the artery. The artery is external carotid artery, and external carotid artery is lying on the deepest plane of the parotid gland, and it will give two branches inside it, that is the maxillary, and other is superficial temporal artery. So we have described all the three planes inside the parotid gland. Thereafter, I would like to give a brief description about the parotid duct. The parotid duct emerges out from the anterior border of parotid gland. The exact location of the parotid duct is lying between the two buccal branches of the facial nerve, the upper buccal branch and the lower buccal branch. After emergence, it passes over the masseter muscle, and thereafter it pierces following four structures to go inside the oral cavity. It will pass firstly over the masseter muscle like this parotid duct, and thereafter it will go down and pierces the buccopharyngeal membrane. It will pierce the buccinator muscle, and at the most inside it will come out over the oral mucosa. The exact location where the duct of parotid gland opens is the upper molar second tooth, means second upper molar tooth. Opposite the crown of second upper molar tooth, the parotid duct opens, and from this duct the secretion of saliva, the serous saliva, is secreted. So this was just a brief knowledge about the parotid duct. The total length of parotid duct is approx 5 cm. Thereafter, coming to we have discussed the nerve supply, also we have discussed the arteries and veins. So these arteries and veins forms a blood supply for the parotid gland. I would like to give a brief knowledge about the secretion of the parotid gland. This parotid gland skin, this is the parotid gland, the skin over this parotid gland is supplied by greater auricular nerve. So this forms the sensory sensation of parotid gland. The other is secretomotor fibers, means secretion. As we know, the secretion of parotid gland is watery and serous, and there is a pathway for that secretion. So the nerves will emerge from inferior salivary nucleus. The location of inferior salivary nucleus is in the pons. From this, the branches will emerge. This will traverse along with the glossopharyngeal nerve. This glossopharyngeal nerve will again give branches forming Jacobson nerve, and this Jacobson nerve will give tympanic branches passing through the tympanic canaliculus, forming plexus over the pyramid, which is located in the middle ear cavity. From here, one of the branch, that is lesser petrosal nerve, arises, which will pass through foramen ovale and ultimately will reach the otic ganglion, and from otic ganglion the postganglionic fibers arises, and which will supply parotid gland, and hence is required for the secretion of saliva, the serous secretion of the saliva. So this was just a pathway of the serous secretion of the saliva, which is occurring through the auriculotemporal nerve, which is arising from postganglion, that is the otic ganglion of head and neck region. Now, starting with the applied aspect of the parotid gland, the first applied aspect is parotid swelling. Now, parotid swelling is a quite painful condition. The reason because if you are knowing the attachment of the fibrous capsule, it's very easy to understand why it is a very painful condition. The paretomesenteric fascia, which is the superficial lamina or the superficial covering of parotid gland, is very much adherent. Means the whole of the parotid gland is very much adherent to this fascia, and hence it forms paretomesenteric fascia. So there is no space for dilatation. So if there is swelling or enlargement of parotid gland, it becomes very painful because it is forming a pressure over this fascia, and there is no space for further enlargement of parotid gland. So it becomes a quite painful condition. The other thing is that if the parotid gland is having some tumor in it or any swelling in it, and we want to excise the gland, we should always take a horizontal incision, not a vertical incision. The reason because inside the parotid gland we have got the trunk. The trunk of the facial nerve goes inside and then divides into the 5 terminal branches. So if we take a vertical incision, what will happen? We will injure all the nerves. So it is good to take a horizontal incision, and thus we have to preserve the nerves. the facial nerves. We have to preserve the terminal branches of facial nerve and also the trunk of facial nerve. So it is better to avoid vertical incision regarding any of the excision around the parotid gland. The third applied aspect and most important is Frey syndrome, F-R-E-Y, that's Frey syndrome. What happens? As you know, the skin around the parotid gland is supplied by auriculotemporal nerve. The skin over the parotid gland is supplied by great auricular nerve. And we know that auriculotemporal nerve is supplying the secretomotor fibers. It is required for secretion. So we have got two types of nerve supply to the parotid gland. One is the general sensation and other is required for the secretion of parotid gland. So what happens if there is injury into the postganglionic fibers, or if there is injury in the auriculotemporal nerve, during regeneration, the nerves can grow along with the great auricular nerve. They can grow all together in a single form. Means the regenerating fibers of auriculotemporal nerve can grow along with the great auricular nerve. And in that case, what happens if the person eats something or if the saliva is secreted, along with that there will be red swelling and sweating around the parotid region, because the general sensory fibers is getting mixed with the secretomotor fibers. So this is called as Frey syndrome, which is often seen in the case of injury of auriculotemporal nerve and the regenerating nerve grow together. The auriculotemporal nerve grow together with the great auricular nerve.
Now we are going to make a diagram showing the capsule of parotid gland. We are going to make a diagram showing the capsule of parotid gland. So firstly, we will make the outline of parotid gland. So this is the parotid gland which we have made. Just color the parotid gland. Then after labeling the parotid gland, we will make the bony prominences, zygomatic arch, and on posterior aspect we are going to make tympanic plate and that of stelloid process. So two bony prominences on posterior aspect, stelloid process and tympanic plate. Now with green color we are going to make the fibrous capsule of parotid gland. So one of this fibrous capsule is getting connected to the zygomatic arch, one on the posterior aspect is getting connected to stelloid process and tympanic plate. So the part of the fibrous capsule which is connected to zygomatic arch is superficial lamina of the fibrous capsule, and the part which is connected to tympanic plate and stelloid process is the deep lamina. So these two parts are the parts of investing layer of deep cervical fascia. The part which is connected to zygomatic arch is parietomesentric fascia, and posteriorly to the stelloid process is stylomandibular ligament. The stelloid process connection is deep lamina and the parietomesentric fascia is superficial lamina. The superficial lamina which is forming the parietomesentric fascia is thick and adherent to the gland. We are going to make a diagram showing the relations of parotid gland. Make the apex lower down and the base on the superior aspect. So the apex will be pointing downwards and it is like an inverted pyramidal shape. Now showing the relations on the superior aspect or the base of the parotid gland, yellow color is used for the nerves. So we are seeing here two nerves are emerging out, blue color for the vein and red color is used for the artery. So the relation of structures on the superior aspect of parotid gland or base is temporal branch of facial nerve, one more nerve that is lying posteriorly. This nerve is auriculotemporal nerve. And we have got an artery and vein. These are superficial temporal artery and superficial temporal vein. So we have finished with the relations of the base. Also on the base we have got external acoustic meatus. Now coming to the relations on the anterior border. So you are seeing the nerves are emerging from the anterior border. All the nerves are just made with the yellow color. And these gives a look of pex and serine. The nerves are emerging like the goose feet. We have made in between the duct also. The first nerve which you are seeing is zygomatic branch of facial nerve. Around the duct we have got upper buccal and the lower buccal branch of facial nerve. Lower down we have got marginal mandibular nerve and cervical branch of facial nerve. So these are the nerves related to the anterior border of parotid gland Near the apex, we have got emergence of two veins, that is A and P, that means anterior and posterior division of retromandibular vein. Now coming to the relations on the posterior border, we have again got artery, vein and nerve. These are nerve, artery and vein, which I have written here. These are posterior auricular nerve, artery and vein, which are related posteriorly. So we have completed the diagram of relations of parotid gland. You have to make the relation showing all the structures emerging from the borders. It is very important. So you have to practice this diagram. It's very easy. Just make an outline of the pyramidal inverted shape and then show the nerves, arteries and vein emerging from its border. Now we will draw a diagram showing the nerve supply of the parotid gland. So firstly make the outline of the parotid gland. The trunk of the facial nerve is going inside the parotid gland in the most superficial plane. Means nerve lies in the most superficial plane. When you are going to do the dissection also, you will find the nerve is lying in the most superficial plane of parotid gland. And then you can see the terminal branches of facial nerve is emerging out from the anterior border of parotid gland. So all these branches are terminal branches of facial nerve which are emerging from the anterior border of parotid gland. So from the posteromedial aspect, the facial nerve enters. The uppermost branch is the temporal branch. Lower down, the second branch is the zygomatic. Then is the upper and lower buccal around the parotid duct. Below lower buccal we have got marginal mandibular nerve, and below marginal mandibular nerve we have got the cervical branch of facial nerve. The whole appearance of this facial nerve terminal branches which is emerging out from the anterior border of parotid gland is showing the pex and serine distribution. What you can see that these branches which are emerging from the anterior border are like the feet of a duck or goose, and it gives an appearance of pex and serine. Now in this diagram I am going to explain the blood supply of parotid gland. So for the explanation of the blood supply, after the nerves we can see that blue color is used for making the venous drainage, and the veins is lying in the intermediate plane inside the parotid gland. When we will do the piecemeal dissection of the parotid gland, the first superficial structures are the nerve and then we will find the veins. Now firstly make the outlines of the vein with all blue color, then we will do the labeling of the veins. The superficial temporal vein, next is the transverse facial vein and the maxillary vein. Maxillary vein and the superficial temporal vein joins to form retromandibular vein. This retromandibular vein on anterior aspect form facial vein, which will drain into common facial vein. This is the A and P, that is anterior and posterior division of retromandibular vein. Posterior aspect, it is the posterior auricular vein which will form the external jugular vein by joining with the posterior division of retromandibular vein. After the venous drainage, we will draw a diagram for the arterial supply of parotid gland. The arteries supplying the parotid gland is formed in the deepest plane of cleavage. So when we are doing the piecemeal dissection, the most deeper structure we will found the arterial supply of parotid gland. So firstly make the outline of the parotid gland. After making the outline, we will use red colors for drawing the arteries. So these arteries are passing through the deeper aspect of the parotid gland. Just outline the arteries. Coming to the labeling of these arteries, superficial temporal artery, maxillary artery, which are the branches of external carotid artery. The other branch which we can see inside the parotid gland is transverse cervical, also in this uppermost part. Lower down is the posterior auricular artery. So other branches which we can see in the parotid gland is transverse facial artery and that of posterior auricular artery. So with this we have finished both the venous drainage and the arterial supply of parotid gland. Now we will draw a diagram showing the parotid duct, which all structures is pierced by the parotid duct. So just making the outline of the duct. This is the parotid duct. From its anterior aspect, the duct is emerging. This is the parotid gland. From its anterior aspect, the parotid duct is emerging. Now this duct is emerging in close relation with the masseter muscle. So just make the muscle with brown color. This is the masseter muscle. Now these are the buccal pad of fat. So the first structure which is pierced by parotid duct is the buccal pad of fat. So this is the first structure pierced by the parotid duct. Then we will make a green color structure. This green color structure is the second structure pierced by parotid duct. Then again a muscle is pierced. The second structure is the buccopharyngeal fascia. The third structure pierced by parotid duct is the buccinator muscle. And the last structure which is pierced is the mucosa. So we will make it with dark pink color, violet color we can use for making the mucosa, the fourth structure. Mucous membrane of the oral cavity. This is the fourth structure pierced by parotid duct. So exact location of parotid duct opening is the upper tooth second molar. So it is the upper tooth second molar. At this location the parotid duct emerge out. And through this emerges the saliva. The most of the serous secretion of the saliva come out through the parotid duct at the level of upper second molar tooth. Thank you.